Hello and welcome to another episode of Quick Expert Reviews. Today we've got the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite 2024 model, which is the third iteration of the S6 Lite line. Wow, what a mouthful. We're going to start with unboxing as usual. So a Type-C to Type-C cable. We've got some paperwork as well. That looks like a quick start guide. It is indeed a quick start guide. Why can't we get it pre-installed as a PDF on the tab itself? I have no idea. Look at all this useless paperwork, seriously. Oh my goodness. And that was the SIM tray opening tool. We also do have the Samsung S Pen. It's pretty lightweight. I am a big fan of the Samsung pens, to be honest. So it does look quite neat. Plus you've got the button as well on it, which if you are not writing any notes, it opens a shortcut for the S Pen, and if you are, it doubles up as an eraser. And in terms of the actual tab itself, again, pretty lightweight. It looks very similar to the 2022 model and even the 2020 model. But hey ho, power button, volume up, volume down, microphone, and a memory card tray that on the LTE 4G model doubles up as a SIM tray. Then we've got the Type-C connector on the bottom, unfortunately 2.0, so no video out, and one of two speakers. Now I did test the Type-C out with an HDMI lead and a display port, and unfortunately no go, so yeah, 2.0. And then we've got a hello, a headphone jack and another speaker on the other side, and nothing on the bottom, no pogo pins or anything like that. And our trusty 8 megapixel camera on the very back of the device, plus the 5 megapixel camera on the front itself. So as usual, we're gonna start looking at what we are actually running on, and we are running on Android 14 with a One UI 6.1. Wow, so it's even ahead of my Fold 4, which only has One UI 6.0, which is nice. Always neat, especially when you consider the price of the device, which is £349 for the 64 gig model with 4 gigs of RAM. And then we're gonna go through some of the Samsung features and some of the technical specs. So as I've said, 64 gigs of internal storage, 4 gigabytes of RAM. To be honest, it does a pretty decent job. I'm gonna launch Samsung DeX later on, and I'm gonna do some video editing on it, and in Luma Fusion, and yeah, it handles it pretty well. Doesn't close the apps as frequently as you'd expect from a 4 gig device. So this is actually smart suggestions. So for example, if you receive an email with some dates, it will ask you if you want to use these dates in a calendar, for example. So it's a pretty nice, neat feature. I do use it on my Fold 4 quite frequently. So yeah, it's good to have it. Okay, and then we're gonna go on to the labs. So first and foremost, one of the most important features is multi-window for all apps. So you can use any app you'd like to, really. While multitasking, so I've got Google Chrome open. I will focus on multitasking in a second, and multi-window and sharing and using 2 and 3 screens at the same time. But in general, yeah, it allows you to use any app you've got pre-installed on your S6 Lite. So yeah, as you can see, I've got 3 apps open. You can obviously resize them to your liking. You can pin them, you can make them smaller, you can make them bigger, whatever you really like, to be honest. And one of the most neat features, and one of the features that does actually keep me buying and staying with Samsung. I know others do quite similar things, but hey ho. And then we've got dark mode for apps, which is on YouTube, and the other option was the landscape mode for portrait apps. So if you've got portrait apps, like for example Instagram, you can use them in landscape. When it comes to biometrics, you only have a face recognition, so no fingerprint sensor, unfortunately, and the face recognition isn't recognized by, for example, most of the banks, at least in the UK, unless you've got an iPhone. So yeah, it's brilliant for unlocking the device, and as you can see, it's actually quite fast. You can also set it up so it doesn't go into the home screen straight away. It stays on the lock screen when it's unlocked, but I do prefer to speed things up, and I just get it set as going into the home screen straight away. In terms of display features, obviously we do have the Samsung dark mode, Samsung dark mode, a dark mode, which we can set up to be scheduled to get between sunrise and sunset. And the same applies to the eye comfort mode, which reduces the blue hue from the screen to put less strain on your eyes, especially in darker environments. Next thing we've got is the edge panels. So this is the bit I wanted to focus on when discussing obviously the multi-window multitasking features. Now if you'd like to, you can set them up as you'd like, so you can use additional features. I usually set it up this way. So my first option is always apps, and you can pin the apps so they don't change. If you don't pin the apps, then it will show you on the edge panel on the right or on the left, whichever way you want to set it up. It will show you the most frequently used apps, while if you pin them, you can set which apps you want there to stay. So for example, if you use Microsoft Excel a lot, you can have Microsoft Excel there to the right, together with a calculator, for example. You can make the windows transparent, as you've seen as well, so works pretty well. And then obviously you can just minimize it to just be a floating icon. Then we've got screenshots. So for example, if you want to, you can have a shortcut to a screenshot. You can obviously use power and volume down, or volume up, volume down, to grab a screenshot, but this gives you a bit more features. Then you've got the weather, if you like to, widget. And then if you've got a clipboard, so for example, you've got some files saved or copying between, while using the keyboard, they will be saved in the clipboard. The clipboard also saves pictures, so it works really, really well. In terms of sound, we've got Dolby Atmos, and we've got Dolby Atmos for movies, music, and voice. And I have to admit that the speaker sound quality is actually really good. It's definitely better than the S9 FE I've reviewed recently as well. So I'm really impressed with the quality of the duo speaker setup. Yeah, it's only a stereo setup. However, it does a fantastic job. Yeah, seriously, the audio quality, which we will test later on, is really good. Then you've got a separate app sound, so you can use different sounds between the phone and a Bluetooth connection, for example, to your speaker. You've got quick share, you've got music share. So if you'd like to, you've got some friends that you want to drop music in between each other, you can use music share. Obviously, they do have to have a Samsung device. Sorry, iPhone users or any other Android users, to be honest. Then we've got the auto switch for boards, so they switch between your phone and the tablet depending on what you're using. Continue apps, that works with Samsung Browser and Samsung Notes on, for example, your phone and the tab. And then we've got a Samsung DeX as well. Yes, the tab itself does come with Samsung DeX, and we will obviously cover Samsung DeX shortly in this review. That is it when it comes to that. And then obviously we've got connections as well, so Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and the Bluetooth is 5.3, so that's one of the upgrades over the 2022 and 2020 model, which is so the Bluetooth is 5.3 rather than 5.2 or 5.0 in the original, the first generation model. I'm surprised they keep calling it S6 Lite. They could have changed it to S7 Lite, S8 Lite maybe. But hey ho. So this is Samsung DeX. If you're unfamiliar with Samsung DeX, it's sort of like desktop mode. So it's slightly easier. It's reminiscent of like a Linux or Windows. It is slightly easier to use when you're thinking about, again, I'm going to use that word, multitasking. So for example, it's easier because you can have multiple windows open like in Windows basically, or like I said, Linux. And what makes it even better to use is connecting a Bluetooth mouse or a Bluetooth keyboard, or even a device via the Type-C, which I will show you in a second as well, because it does support USB on the go, which means that if you want to plug in a camera, for example, a keyboard, a mouse that doesn't have a Bluetooth, but you do have a Type-C to USB-A adapter, so you can plug in the mouse or whatever device you're thinking, or a cable, you can do that, which I will show you in a second. So this is my trusty ZAG keys cover keyboard, and to be honest, half of the keys don't work anymore. I'm just showing that you can actually pair a keyboard to it, which is a shame really, but that keyboard has been manufactured in like 2014, so it's actually 10 years old. And as you can see, it does actually run Luma Fusion, and it does run Luma Fusion very well. Now, the other different bits to the 2022 and 2020 model is the chipset. Now, I'm not 100% sure which chipset is used in this particular device. However, the rumor is Exynos 1280. Now, as you can see, the default cursor color is black, which, to be honest, when you're using black apps like, for example, Luma Fusion with a black or dark background, is not very convenient. So I'm just showing you how to change the color of the cursor. But yeah, as you can see, everything just seems to be working fine. Seriously, considering the price of the device and, you know, the ability to edit videos just like that, there's no lag, no stuttering, no buffering, anything like that, spinning wheels like you would have, for example, on a Windows laptop for 349 quid. Yeah, I have to admit that for example, editing videos or even pictures, because you can download Photoshop on it as well. Or what's that, Adobe DaVinci Mobile or something like that called, the Adobe video editor for Android. But yeah, it does work pretty well, like I did say, and even the export times are very surprisingly short. Now, as I've mentioned before, you can use OTG adapter, which is in this case Type-C to Type-A, but if you've got the Type-C to micro USB or Type-C to whatever else, you can use that as well. Unfortunately, you cannot, like I said, have a video output, so Type-C to HDMI doesn't work. So in this case, I'm using my trusty Logitech K400 Plus keyboard, which does have a built-in touchpad, and the touchpad does work as well. So if you don't have a mouse, or you just want to use one device, you can do so. Or you can use a Bluetooth mouse and wired, or like I said, in the case of Logitech K400, and an adapter that allows the adapter from the actual keyboards to be plugged into the tablet, because the keyboard itself unfortunately doesn't support Bluetooth, which is a bit of a shame really, because it's one of my favorite keyboards. As you can see, it runs Android version of Microsoft Word really well. So if you're thinking about doing any work in Word, you can do so freely, and it works really well, which I've said already, on the S6 Lite tab, which, to be honest, is quite impressive, because it's a £349 device. So in UK it costs 349 quid for 64 gig model with 4 gigs of RAM, and it does all the tasks seamlessly. Like, there's no lag, no slowdowns, no waiting times, nothing really. As you've seen, I've just closed Microsoft Word, reopened Microsoft Excel. If I want to filter, if I want to do anything, it just works. And then if we want to open additional apps, it just flies. I'm really impressed with the performance of the device itself. And even when I'm going to do some gaming testing, there's literally, I can't fault it, which is brilliant, because I love when tech doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Like, for example, the S9 Tab, which starts from like £799. Yes, you do get like an OLED display and 4 quad speakers and stuff like that. But this device does a really decent job as well. I really, really, really like it. Right, so let's listen to the actual speakers and the quality of them. pen itself, pretty much very lightweight. We do have a button on the very top, which we use to... As per usual, after we've done some work, we're gonna do some light gaming. Now you can actually do some hardcore gaming as well if you want to. You can use the Microsoft xCloud or GeForce Now. You can connect an Xbox controller, you can connect an old Stadia controller if you've managed to switch it to Bluetooth, which you still can do. You can connect a PlayStation 4 controller, PlayStation 5 controller, literally anything that supports Bluetooth. And if it doesn't support Bluetooth, you can always use a adapter Type-C to whatever connector you've got. So yeah, it like I said, the device itself does a very good job at everything. So we're gonna play some Minecraft in creative mode, and to be honest, even the screen, yes, it is TFT LCD screen, yes, it is 1200 by 2000 5:3 ratio. Yes, we are at the age of OLED panels and everything, but hey, you are getting a Samsung with the latest One UI, Android 14, and even the previous model, the 2022 model, has been recently upgraded to Android 14, where it launched with Android 12. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a very neat, decently working device. On top of it, everything works out of the box. So usually if you watch my reviews, when I do launch Minecraft on like entry-level or mid-range devices, I have to tweak the graphical settings, turn down the fancy clouds and stuff like that. Well, in here, no, it just works. Now, the video is recorded in 30 frames per second. However, the game itself does run in 60 frames per second, and it does look really nice. So yeah, I'm trying not to be overly impressed with the device, but it's difficult because it does a very good job at everything really. And included S Pen also helps, which I will test after we've done some gaming sessions. But hey, yeah, decent device. So now we're gonna move on to Call of Duty Mobile, and we'll see how it goes. Oh, can't remember changing the loadout to whatever gun it is. Now, obviously, as you can see, you can play it with a controller or you can play it with touch controls. Now, I prefer a controller. I'm old school like that, but obviously, if you don't have a controller, you can play with touchscreen as you do. And now we're going to cover S Pen, which is one of my favorite features of any Galaxy device that supports S Pen. The Fold 4, the Galaxy Book Pro 360, and now the S6 Lite. They all support the S Pen, and they are the main reasons why I'm actually sticking to Samsung. They work brilliantly, absolutely fantastic devices. One of my favorite features of a Samsung device, and why I stay with the ecosystem. I know my Galaxy Book Pro 360 is like a 4-year-old laptop, but the Samsung Notes together paired with Samsung S Pen just do a brilliant job. Now, the million-dollar question is, why did Samsung release the S6 Lite 2024 when the S9 FE exists and they are very similar in price? Now, the S9 FE, which I've reviewed as well, and you can check the link in the top right corner, obviously comes with an IPS LCD panel, 90 Hz refresh rate. So it is actually a slightly better tablet when it comes to performance, and even the camera itself on the S9 FE allows you to record 4K, where this one only 1080p. However, I have to admit that the thing that the S9 FE lacks is the 3.5mm jack. So maybe, just maybe, you're after that. And this is probably the only device from Samsung I can think of tablet-wise that does support the 3.5mm jack. So overall, I'm really impressed with the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite, the 2024 model. Thank you for watching another episode of Quick Expert Reviews, and I'll speak to you soon, guys. Bye!